Welcome, friends, to Guess That Battery Life. Guess That Battery Life is a game show where contestants race to interpret a set of battery life cycle curves while drinking a delicious cup of joe. Before we dive into our show, first let's get our coffee cups filled and a word from our awesome sponsor. Welcome to Coffee with Indy. Welcome back to Guess That Battery Life. I'm your host, Eric Schrock, and this is a game show where I'll give our contestants a list of battery usage conditions, and our contestants will race to interpret a set of battery life cycle curves and determine how long that battery will last under those usage conditions. Trust me, it's intense and not for the faint of heart. We have two brave contestants today. Our first contestant resides in Austin, Texas, but hails from the great city of Cork, Ireland. He plays a mean game of rugby and has been working with batteries for nearly a decade. Please welcome John Mitchell, everybody. John Mitchell! Our next contestant is from Buda, Texas. He's a local city councilman, a formidable force on the soccer pitch, and has turned wrenches at some of the first grid-scale storage projects ever constructed. Please welcome Evan Turry, everybody. Evan Turry! Okay. The rules of the game are simple. Each contestant will be given an identical set of battery life cycle curves from an undisclosed battery manufacturer. I will then read a set of battery usage conditions, and our contestants will have to interpret the life cycle curves and then be the first to buzz in with the correct answer of a battery life estimate. And their answers must be phrased in the form of a question, and a coffee mug must be clearly in view when they answer the question. Easy enough? Let's go. First question. Are contestants ready?
Ready.
Ready.
You're installing a battery system at a project site with a temperature range of 7.2 degrees Celsius to 41.8 degrees Celsius. You will cycle the battery system 147.6 times per year, and your average battery state of charge will be 57.8%. How long until you reach the expected end of life for that battery system? John.
What is 8.6 years?
No, that is not correct. Evan, you have 10 seconds to form a response. Evan.
What is 12.7 years?
No, that is not correct. The correct answer is 173.4 years. Because this isn't the warranty battery life, it's the expected battery life. So no commercial guarantee is being made. Come on, guys, you're better than that. Okay, no worries, redemption time. Now for the double bonus winner take all question. The double bonus question is, you're installing a battery system at a project site that is 894.2 meters in elevation, has a prevailing west-northwesterly wind of 5.6 miles per hour, and you'll be using the battery to do both frequency regulation and energy arbitrage. How long will your battery last? Evan.
What is 14.2 years?
No, that is not correct. John, you have 10 seconds to form an answer and respond.
Carry to 1, cross multiply, interpolate.
John.
What is, I have absolutely no clue.
Yes! Ding, 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 ding! Also accepted would be, I haven't in the world. John, you're the winner of Guess That Battery Cycle Life. You really know your stuff. Your prize is you get to keep those battery curve charts, and you get this fantastic used 18650 battery cell. Congratulations, John. Thanks to all our contestants for playing. We'll see you next time on Guess That Battery Life. All right, we were just having a little fun on this coffee break. Interpreting battery cycle life curves is not nearly that bad, and also not as bad as it was several years ago. It's gotten much better as of late. However, it can still be a confusing task to make an apples-to-apples comparison between different battery or system suppliers. Many suppliers are moving to a simplified structure of warrantying battery life based solely on time and battery cycles or energy throughput. I really like this approach, but it does have a consequence of leaving some battery life on the table, as it can force some conservative estimates by the battery or system supplier. Suppliers generally do have a balancing game to play, as the life of a battery really does have multiple variables. So crafting a simple warranty that is easy to understand and well serves both sides of the table can be a difficult task. Additionally, there are some tricks still being played by some manufacturers, you know who you are, with cycle life estimates that are intentionally misleading, particularly with battery life estimates at higher temperatures. Overall, we're going to share a few tips we've learned over the years to help you make better sense of those various battery cycle life curves you might run across. All over a delicious cup of coffee. First up is our man, John Mitchell. John, you have 90 seconds to give us a tip. Give us something good. Go!
Thanks, Eric. My top tip is to avoid doing your own interpolation of a battery life cycle curve. What I mean by that, you might see a curve, for example, that looks like this, based on a 200 cycle per year application, and you might think to yourself, okay, if I only want to do 100 cycles per year, then my curve should look like this. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. Degradation curves are actually a pretty multi-dimensional equation, and they also vary from supplier to supplier, so simply reducing the number of cycles doesn't equate in an equivalent reduction in degradation. Other factors also play a part, like average resting state of charge, depth of discharge, cell temperature, and then there's just the factor of the calendric degradation, so whether you're cycling the battery or not, it's unfortunately degrading just over time. So things like that mean that the reduction in number of cycles doesn't equate linearly to a reduction in degradation, so that's just something to certainly be aware of. So going back to my previous example, if a 200 cycle per year degradation curve looks like this, then in reality a 100 cycle per year degradation curve probably looks more like this. So just something to be aware of, and that's my top tip.
Good stuff, John. Well done on your time management and nice use of those infographics. You really are a multi-talented guy. Next up is our other man, Evan Turry. Evan, you have 90 seconds. Give us some wisdom. Go!
Evan Turry here with my top tip. I'll get to the bottom of a common question, which is, what is considered end of life for a lithium-ion battery? This idea of end of life really comes from the old industry giant lead-acid batteries that have a drastic and distinct drop-off at 80% state of health. But lithium-ion batteries don't suffer from this same sudden death. For lithium-ion batteries, there's an initial dip while it's forming its SEI layer, and then a relatively long and flat degradation over time from a couple different mechanisms. One is loss of lithium ions over time. Another is issues with intercalation and deintercalation of those lithium ions into the anode, as well as some issues on the other side, on the cathode side. All told, there's a few mechanisms, but they result in a relatively long and flat degradation over time without this sudden drop-off. The bigger consideration for end of life in lithium-ion battery energy storage systems is really thermal uniformity over time. Differing like a large temperature delta will result in differing degradation of the cells over time, which in later years will result in more time spent balancing and more balancing losses to get the pack to operate as one. Even with good balancing, the worst performing cell will limit your capacity. So when looking at vendor degradation curves, keep this in mind. The chart has a final year and it has the remaining capacity that's guaranteed. A well-designed, monitored, and maintained, based on that monitoring, lithium battery energy storage system will have more years and more cycles left in the tank. And for a lot of projects, this could mean a really interesting merchant tale. That's my tip, and this is a good cup of joe.
Good stuff, Evan. The definition of end of life can be a confusing one. I'm going to try to follow that one with something equally as good. So Eric, you have 90 seconds. Bring your A game. Go! All right, another good topic. I'm going to try very hard to stay on time this time. One of the difficult aspects with analyzing battery life cycle curves is the variation among different suppliers. Some suppliers give you a different expected versus warranted capacity curve, while others give the same for both. And what I mean by that, a warranted curve is one where the supplier is making a guarantee via a warranty that the battery capacity will not be less than what they are showing. Whereas an expected curve can be just that, what is expected, but no guarantees made. In addition to these differences, some suppliers also give warranted capacity figures with very restrictive usage conditions, while some give a warranted capacity curve with much looser or more generous conditions. All of this equates to what can be a wide varying curve set for the same exact battery. You see this now with a lot of suppliers using CATL battery cells. Unfortunately, there's no magic bullet tip for this other than asking questions to the supplier and being aware of what you're looking at. Meaning, is this an expected or warranted curve? What are the usage conditions assumed, if any, etc. I look forward to the day where the capital spend on battery warranties and capacity guarantees can be avoided, but that's not the reality now. Batteries degrading too fast still has too much risk for most people who are writing the check. These are very valuable assets, and having commercial coverage that the battery will last as expected is most often necessary. And thus, when reviewing life cycle curves, be sure to get the lowdown on whether these are simply expected capacity figures, warranted capacity figures, and what usage conditions are stipulated to offer that capacity curve. And be sure to ask those clarifiers with a delicious brew in your hand. Delicious. All right, friends, my coffee cup is nearly empty. Whatever your battery warranty or usage conditions look like, the Indie EMS is here to sort it out for you. If you're on the front end of a project, we're here to help get those warranties crafted right. If you're on the back end of a project with warranties and usage conditions already in place, the Indie EMS can sort it all out for you. With clear, real-time warranty tracking metrics, plus control methods to maximize battery life under those warranties. Hit us up for a demo. We'd love to show you how it works. If you just want to connect and talk further about battery curves, talk storage shop, or be a contestant on Guess That Battery Life, we can do that too. All right, it's that time, my friends. Remember, today is the day, the time is now. Now let's get back to work.
Some people cry, some people were giving birth, while others are taking life down the black and white check.